Hi folks, we're back today with another video. And today we're going to be looking at a Nintendo Game Boy. Regular viewers of the channel will know I've got very fond memories of the Nintendo Game Boy. I've got a lot of affection for this console. And if I see them popping up online in a bit of a state of disrepair, won't turn on, manky screen, looking a bit yellow or whatever, I do like to pick them up and see if I can restore them to their former glory. But what I also want to point out is some of the more common faults with the Nintendo Game Boy and how you can fix them quite easily yourself and how quickly this can be done. Um, this one I picked up off eBay and it was a case of it wouldn't turn on. Which I shall demonstrate very quickly. Won't turn on. And the main reason for this is because of corrosion in the battery compartment, and this is a big this is a common fault with a lot of these. Essentially, people will just play them, leave the batteries in, pop in the bottom drawer, and come back to it 20 years later and find that the batteries have leaked and these have gone manky. Essentially, it won't turn on. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And I want to have the stopwatch on, sort of not a beat the clock challenge because I'm not racing, but just to show you. Although you could sort of judge from the length of the video, but just to show you how quickly and how easily these things can be done. A full disclosure: I have had this Game Boy in pieces already. Again, regular viewers of the channel will know I recently did a retro bright with a UV chamber video, and this was the case that I used for this. But I put it all back together as is, as you would find, factory default and all that. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. I'm also just going to give it insides a bit of a clean and look at popping on a new lens. Anything that I use, I'll post links to or sort of vague descriptions of where you can get them. The only real piece of specialist, and I use specialist quite loosely, piece of equipment we'll need is a tri-wing screwdriver for opening up the Game Boy in the first place. But again, they're very easy to pick up online. You can pick them up, and usually they come in kits and things like that. So without further ado, I'm just going to get a stopwatch up here, zoom the camera out a little bit, and we'll get a stopwatch started, and let's see how long it takes us. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open the Game Boy up with the rear, and we've got 6 screws that hold the 2 pieces of the case together, and these are what's effectively known as tri-wing screws. They have 3 points to them. I'm not sure you can really see that well, but 3 points to them, as opposed to the Phillips crosshead with the 4 points. You're going to need a screwdriver for this. There are some kits that you can buy that come with lots of multi-heads, and you will find probably a head in that. The ones that I'm using are ones that have been bundled with various kits that I've bought. They do the job quite well. They're not the comfiest to hold, but if you're only doing 6 screws, it's not too bad. Although if you're taking apart several at a time, if you're old like me, your knuckles are going to start to get a bit sore. The screws should come out pretty easily. They tend to not be in there too hard. It's just how dexterous you are at using small screwdrivers. As I've said before, I tend to have 10 thumbs. So be careful. Once you've popped the 6 screws out, you'll see the 2 points of the Game Boy are connected. Okay, you're just going to need to very carefully just pull down on the ribbon cable just to dislodge it. It doesn't take a lot of force. You don't need to use a lot of force. So seeing as though we're looking at the battery connectors, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this board off. There are 4 screws, 2 here that hold the main board in, and 2 down here that are going to hold the speaker, the jack plug connection in. We're back to crosshead now. Okay, so your standard small screwdrivers. Again, normally when you buy any sort of Game Boy kits, repair kits, that kind of thing, you'll get the 2 screwdrivers bundled together. I've got a stack of these in my toolbox, and like I say, they're not the best, but they do the job. Once you've got those 4 screws out, the, the board should just drop out. And as you've seen there, this is the grey slidey switch. So we'll put that to one side for now. We'll take the board out. Now, if you're lucky, I say lucky, depending on how lucky you've been with corrosion and things like that, it could be that you've got some corrosion on these points here. They will require soldering, desoldering and soldering. We're not going to look at that today, but just to be aware, one thing you could do is clean it with a Q-tip, a cotton bud, UK viewers, and a bit of vinegar, but you're going to have to decide on the level of corrosion before you start attacking that. The things we're going to look at replacing are these, well, certainly 2 of these, okay? This one here is not looking too bad, okay? It's actually pretty clean. To take these out, you've got a bit of a clip down here, which if you just get your screwdriver and just gently push and slide, they should pop out quite easily. What I mean is you've got this sort of bit of plastic, bit of metal clip that sticks out ever so slightly, and when that's pushed into place, it sort of clips in place. I'll just put it back in, even though we're not going to use it, just to demonstrate. You'll sort of hear a click. There we go, and that means it's in place. So we're going to just push that back down again. It'll drop out. We'll do the second one, and it will drop out. Now, again, it could be that you might just want to pop these in a small tub of vinegar for a couple of hours, just to let any sort of corrosion on it dissolve. You could get away perhaps with cleaning it with some IPA. If you've got a Dremel, you could sort of Dremel away some of the funk and gunk that's on there. I'm going to do that a different time because we're not going to be reusing these. Now, spot the difference. We can see the design of these is slightly different, okay? They will still do the job. These are sort of more generic ones that are mass-produced. If you buy them off AliExpress, some eBay sites and things like that, this is what you're probably going to get. They do the job just fine, in my opinion. They let the current, the voltage flow. Purists perhaps will turn their nose at them. They want something that looks fully traditional. There's no right or wrong answer, in my opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop these in. You need to ensure that the spring is going to be hitting where the negative terminal is. So our batteries will drop in that way. Negative is going to be at the bottom. So our connector needs to go in that way. These don't have the little clips on, but they are quite sturdy. They've got some sort of nodule bits at the side that stick up that just sort of, they do hold them in place quite well. Okay, so we're going to put both them in like that, and now we've got nice clean connectors all round. We'll put that to one side for now. The second bit we're going to look at is taking the screen out. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9 screws, crosshead screws. Okay, they're the same size as the screws that have been used on the other board, so don't worry too much if they get cross-contaminated. However, I'm just going to keep them to one side. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to take the board off, and we're just going to see if there's anything that needs addressing. Is it any gunk? Years of thumb cheese and stuff builds up in these. And whilst there's nothing, technologically nefarious waiting for us under here, it's a bit of an interesting term, wasn't it? We are just going to take it off. Number one, so you can just have a quick look if you're curious, if you've never done this before. Number two, just to show you what can and can't be done with cleaning. As I've said before, I have cleaned the shell after I retro brightened it, and if you've got no idea what retro brighten is, check out the video marked the UV chamber video in the channel. I'm even going to try and put a card to it. I'm going to try and mess around with some cards and see if I can make it appear there. Excuse me. So now you're going to gently want to lift the screen out. We can do this in a number of ways. Again, just be really gentle. It shouldn't give you too much fuss. We can gently sort of pull on the ribbon, but again, don't tug it. You can lift from the bottom, and eventually, this thing will release itself. I know the screen works. I don't have any lines on it because in the auction, the person said that they did manage to plug a power pack in to get it working, and the screen was fine. It was just the battery compartment that was causing the issues. If your screen does have lines on it, check out some of the other videos on my channel. I've got lots of tutorials on how to fix lines. Now, as I said, I know that some of these pads here have got thumb cheese on, for want of a better phrase. I use this sort of IPA. It's very similar to IPA that you would get in a pouring bottle. This is just in a pressurized canister. So all I'm going to do is go ahead and just put some on a Q-tip, on a cotton bud. I don't know why I call them Q-tips. I never call them Q-tips. I always call them cotton buds. And we can just use it just to clean up the gunk. It will just cut through that gunk. And whilst this isn't going to stop you playing, having this gunk on there, it's just good practice, okay? Because you want to make sure that these things don't corrode too much. If you take it apart and you find that it's fully corroded, again, you can order spares off the internet, off eBay, AliExpress. All the websites are available. There are just two that I would think of. I got a lot of my things from. If you're doing it probably for a one time, actually, eBay is probably your best bet. You only really make any sort of savings from AliExpress if you're buying in bulk, in my opinion. When you add on the tax, shipping, etc. But be that as it may. So we'll just whiz around, like I say, these last little bits with a cotton bud and some IPA. You can put these in a dishwasher. I put these in my dishwasher in the cutlery rack on a 40 wash. I put the shells in before and they come out fine. You just need to make sure that whatever you're putting them in, if you put them in the cutlery rack, pop the lid over so that they don't get lifted up by the water and end up in your filter somewhere. Okay, so that's relatively clean. I knew the inside of the shell was clean, but again, same process applies. If you want to have a whiz round with some IPA, get in all those nooks and crannies, give it a little clean, etc., this is the time to do it. Once you've done, make sure that you put your buttons in first, okay, and then the plastic rubber molar stuff, I don't even know what that's called, goes on top. And you've got these little these little pole things that stick up that help you to align them. Make sure you've got them around the right way, otherwise you're going to be in a world of pain when you put it back together. The last one in, and we're going to pop our screen in. Make sure the speaker goes first. Again, you've got two little sort of, or at least one bit that sticks out to help you align it. Gently twist it into place, and when then that drops in, you can drop your screen on, and it should all sit down nicely. If you're getting some resistance, stop, take it out, and have a quick check. What I also like to do is just before I start screwing it back into place, with it held with fingers, just flick it over and just check, okay, that you've got everything seated as it should. We can then go ahead, and this is where the fun begins, screwing the 9 screws back in. This is probably the most laborious task of doing this, if I'm honest. If you've got an electric screwdriver, fantastic. One of those small USB powered ones does the job really well. You just have to be careful not to apply too much pressure because the screws could go down further than you intend and will make an indentation on the other side of the board. Okay, there's been a couple of times when I've been a bit haphazard, been in a bit of a rush, and give it a little bit too much force, and then wonder why I've just got molehills on the other side. I think in videos gone past also. I'll sped this little bit up, but as we're on the clock, I haven't bothered. So you can see we're only 12 minutes in. We've had the screen off. We've given it a bit of a clean. So if you're interested in getting into sort of retro repair and stuff like that, or you just sort of come across your own Game Boy in the drawer, it really is a great place to start. There's a few common faults with these that are quite easy to fix. I've only come across 2 Game Boys in, I've prepared quite a few. One of them weirdly had a dry joint on the processor. Here, one of these had come loose somehow, and then the other one was a power issue where I had to do a bit of rewiring. But those are, uncommon as far as I can say. Right, so just before you put the screws in this, you need to make sure that you have your power switch in and in the right way, because what you don't want to do is screw it all back together and realize that you've missed it out. So you can just sort of gently lift the board up, slide it so that the black bit drops in to the gap on the switch, give it a little test. We're all good there. Okay, and then we've got our 4 screws to put back in. Almost put a hole in my thumb then. So nearly there. And again, if you've got an electric screwdriver, then you're obviously going to be doing this a lot quicker. So what we'll do, we'll just make sure that the switch is off. We'll pop in the batteries right way around. Apologies. And we'll very quickly just plug the screen in. Same process as when we removed it, just in reverse. So we're just going to very gently, I say gently, but with a little bit of force, line the ribbon up, okay? And because it's got that sort of hard edge, you can give it a bit of a push and it should just slot in. And then we're going to test. One of the batteries had dropped out, that's why it didn't power up straight away. We've got video, yeah, and we've got sound. Although we've not got a game in, okay, so that's why we've got the black bar, if you're just a little bit confused. I'm going to take 2 of the batteries out because we need them to be able to access the battery, the screws. So we'll drop the first screw in, just make sure we're all aligned. Couple of turns, we'll go back and tighten them up shortly, just a couple of turns. I like to put the top 2 in and then the bottom 2. When you're putting these bottom ones in, just remember that you've got the speaker down here, so if you let go of your screw, it might sort of just get magnetized, pulled up to that speaker a little bit. It'll rattle around, so just be careful. Especially, like I say, if you're like me, not the most dexterous person in the world. I'm going to make sure that those are nice and secure. You don't need to over tighten them. We'll pop the middle ones back in, and then we'll finish off tightening the top 2. Okay. So again, I'm not over tightening. You can just sort of see the case biting and just close in there as we tighten. Okay. Okay, just pulling it in. It just stops extra gunk getting in there. Last one. Nice. Okay, so grabbing a game. In fact, what I'm also going to do is just with a little bit of IPA, just clean that back battery cover again. You can just see, oh, that is a satisfying sound. Oi, just a bit of the gunk off there. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is just actually with a clean Q-tip. I shouldn't use that dirty one. It's just IPA just across there, just to get any fluff off before we put on the fresh new screen. There are glass screens available, there are plastic screens available. Depending on what you're going to want to do with it, the choice is entirely yours. I've just gone for the cheap plastic ones just for now with this one. And actually, just as I pulled it out of the packet, I accidentally pulled the main screen protector off. I don't think there's any more. No. So again, just before you pop it on, just double check you've got the right one. Yeah, so that fits in place nicely. Again, depending on what you've bought, where you've bought it from, there'll be a myriad of different covers and stickers and things on these. So just take your time with it. Just make sure that you've got everything off of it before you stick it down. Actually, no, there is one on the front of this, I think. So we're just going to pop it in place. How you do this is entirely up to you. No, there isn't, is there? No, that needs to come off. That would have been fun if I stuck it down and realised there's actually one more piece of that needs to come off. So you might just want to take a moment, just have a little look at, are there any little specks of dust under this before you stick it down? Or are they on the front? Or on the front? Again, entirely up to you. Pop it in, give it a nice smooth round. Okay, over the front, because you can always just clean any fingerprints. Not that we need to test it, but we will. We'll pop a game in. It may work, but that game might be filthy. So we're all good. And there we go. We've got that down. We've got a fully working Game Boy. I think we can hit the stopwatch. So 20 minutes and 25 seconds. We've gone from something in a state of disrepair. Okay, it didn't work. To a fully working Game Boy. We've got a few stains here, and they may or may not come off with a little bit more IPA. I'm not 100% sure what that is. It could be paint, actually. It's not my Game Boy. I picked it up off eBay. Anyway, I'm waffling. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful in any way, then that is fantastic. That's the main aim. That's one of the reasons why we make these. I love bringing these Game Boys back to full strength. If you could consider giving us a like, drop us a comment, anything that you want to say to us, go for it. Try and be nice. And yeah, if you could give us a like and a subscription and a follow, then you're going to be alerted to when we release more videos. I'm trying to make as much content as possible, but yeah, the main thing is if you enjoyed it, then that's good enough for me. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.